Karen made money off my lake house in secret. I walked in, exposed her, and shut it all down. How would you feel if someone was secretly profiting from your property, using it for their own gain, all while demanding you adhere to their arbitrary rules? The gentle lapping of waves against the dock, the rustle of leaves in the ancient pines, and the distant call of loons were the sounds of true peace at my family's lake house on Lake Serenity. It was a rustic, cherished cabin, passed down through 3 generations, a place for quiet reflection and simple joys. My grandfather built it with his own hands, and it held countless memories. I, Sarah Jenkins, a freelance conservation biologist, returned here whenever possible to escape the city and contribute to local wildlife preservation efforts. The property was secluded, accessed by a private, unpaved road. Then came Karen, not with a friendly greeting, but with a jarring discovery. I'd driven up unexpectedly a week earlier than planned, hoping to get a head start on a new birdwatching survey. As I navigated the winding private road, I noticed cars I didn't recognize parked along the usually empty lane. My heart sank as I saw a brightly colored banner strung across the entrance to my property. Lake Serenity Retreats, exclusive getaway. And there, directing a group of smiling, well-dressed strangers, clipboard in hand, was Karen DuBois, the self-proclaimed community liaison for the new, exclusive Serenity Shores development that had sprung up on the far side of the lake. "Welcome to Lake Serenity Retreats," Karen announced, her voice overly cheerful, a forced smile plastered on her face. "You must be the new guest for the rustic charm experience. Your cabins are ready, and you're just in time for the morning mindfulness session, led by our resident guru." She motioned towards my lake house, which had several unfamiliar tents set up on the lawn, and a banner reading "Mindful Mornings with Guru Luna" hanging over my porch. The main conflict, utterly audacious and deeply personal, was laid bare. Karen, armed with a fabricated business and a complete disregard for private property, was running a commercial retreat out of my family's cherished lake house, without my knowledge or permission, all while collecting hefty fees. Her demands were not only illegal, but a profound desecration of my family's legacy. Her attitude reeked of self-importance, believing my private property was simply an underutilized asset for her profit. I stared at her, a cold fury settling in my gut. "Karen," I said, my voice low and steady, "what in the world is going on here? This is my private property. This is my family's lake house. You have no right to be here, let alone run a retreat out of it." I even pulled out my deeds and property tax statements, clearly showing my ownership. Karen, however, merely scoffed, giving a dismissive wave to the confused guests. "Ms. Jenkins, don't be ridiculous. This property was designated as a community access point by the Serenity Shores HOA, and since it was vacant for so long, we merely decided to activate it for the benefit of our residents and their guests. Consider it a community service, really. We'll send you a modest occupancy fee at the end of the season. Now, if you'll excuse me, the yoga session is about to begin." Her tone was condescending, her eyes holding a glint of perverse pleasure, as if she enjoyed watching my distress. I tried to explain the illegal nature of her actions, pointing out the clear, private property signs she had brazenly covered with her own retreat banners. Karen simply ignored me, turning her back and ushering her guests towards my dock for a guided meditation session. The situation was beyond infuriating. Then, her audacity escalated into a direct, shocking act of destruction. As I watched in helpless fury, her yoga instructor, Guru Luna, began leading her class on my historic wooden dock. Luna, far too large and boisterous for the rickety structure, started performing an aggressive power pose that involved stomping her foot repeatedly. Suddenly, with a loud crack, the dock splintered, a crucial support beam giving way, sending a section of it collapsing into the lake. Several of Karen's guests shrieked, nearly falling into the water. My grandfather's handcrafted dock, a sentimental and functional piece of our history, was irrevocably damaged, its delicate ecosystem disturbed by the debris. It was an act of pure, malicious negligence, directly caused by her unauthorized, reckless use of my property. Right after the dock collapsed, a crucial twist unfolded from an unexpected source. Old Silas, The reclusive but sharp-eyed local fisherman who lived on a houseboat nearby had been observing the commotion for days. He'd moored his boat closer than usual, his small, solar-powered surveillance camera, usually used to spot prime fishing locations, pointed directly at my property. He paddled over, his face grim. "Sarah, you gotta see this. That Du Bois woman, she's been advertising your place online for months. Got it all on video. And look at this." His footage, surprisingly clear, showed Karen herself taking payments from arriving guests, explaining that this particular cabin is a hidden gem owned by an absent owner who donated its use to the community. It clearly showed her collecting cash, manipulating documents, and, crucially, her distinct, smug expression. The larger consequence of Karen's actions became terrifyingly clear. The collapse of the dock and the subsequent debris hadn't just damaged my property. It had directly impacted a critical federally protected spawning ground for an endangered species of freshwater mussel, a species I was actively trying to conserve as part of my research for a National Wildlife Foundation. The disruption, the pollution from the broken wood, and potentially dislodged chemicals from the temporary structures could set back years of vital conservation efforts and jeopardize the very survival of the mussel population. Karen's petty profit scheme had now escalated into a significant environmental crime, elevating her personal arrogance to a matter of profound ecological and scientific importance. Armed with Silas's irrefutable video and financial evidence, the furious director of the National Wildlife Foundation, and my own burning desire for justice, I didn't just call a lawyer. I called the local news station, ensuring a live crew was dispatched. I also contacted the relevant federal environmental agencies. The next morning, as Karen was preparing for another sunset serenity paddle, guiding a new group of unsuspecting clients towards the damaged dock, the news van pulled up, its satellite dish unfolding. The environmental agency vehicles followed close behind. Karen, in a flowing kaftan, radiating her usual icy confidence, came out to greet them, clearly assuming they were there for a feel-good story about her retreat. "Welcome, Channel 7 News," Karen trilled, striking a pose for the camera. "You're just in time to capture the magic of Lake Serenity Retreats, a true gem of community-driven ecotourism." She smiled, a predatory gleam in her eyes, oblivious to the grim faces of the officials. "Actually, Karen," I retorted, stepping forward, holding up a printout of Silas's financial ledger, detailing her illegal transactions. "You're just in time to witness the exposure of a massive fraud and environmental crime." I pointed to the damaged dock, then to the news camera. "This woman has been illegally operating a commercial business on my private property, without permission, and has caused significant damage to both my family's legacy and a federally protected endangered species habitat." The news crew started murmuring excitedly, their cameras zooming in on Karen's face, which contorted in disbelief, then pure, unadulterated rage. "This is outrageous. This woman is a disgruntled neighbor. These are all lies. This is a malicious attack on my character and my legitimate business," she shrieked, desperately trying to manipulate the situation, her voice shrill and breaking. She started pointing fingers, trying to blame Silas, me, anyone but herself. Just as her tirade reached its peak, a representative from the State Department of Environmental Protection, DEP, stepped forward, followed by a grim-faced agent from the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. The DEP representative spoke first, her voice cold and cutting. "Ms. Du Bois, based on evidence provided in our initial assessment, your operations have caused irreparable damage to a critical endangered mussel habitat. This is a severe violation of state and federal environmental protection laws, carrying significant fines and potential jail time." The FBI agent stepped forward. "And Ms. Du Bois, we've also been investigating reports of widespread financial fraud. Your Lake Serenity Retreats appears to be an unlicensed, uninsured commercial operation collecting substantial fees, none of which have been properly declared or taxed. Furthermore, we have evidence of significant sums of money from the Serenity Shores HOA being diverted to offshore accounts linked to your shell corporations, ostensibly for community development projects that never materialized. Your retreats were simply a front to launder money and exploit private property." A nervous murmur rippled through the bewildered guests as one, clutching a receipt, stammered to the FBI agent. She told us it was all-inclusive for our HOA fees. We thought we were supporting the community. It was a chilling revelation. Karen wasn't just a petty trespasser. She was a criminal mastermind, systematically defrauding her HOA members and exploiting natural resources for massive personal profit, with the retreats a perverse way to justify her illicit gains. A past incident, whispered among the older community members, revealed that Karen had been previously disciplined by the State Bar Association for unethical financial practices while managing a charity organization. The consequences for Karen DuBois were immediate and utterly devastating. She was arrested by the FBI agents and DEP officials on multiple charges, including felony fraud, environmental crimes, operating an unlicensed business, and later, as the full extent of the fraud was uncovered, for massive embezzlement, wire fraud, and racketeering. The Serenity Shores HOA was placed under immediate state and federal oversight, its assets frozen, and a full forensic audit exposed tens of millions in stolen funds, a systematic scheme orchestrated by Karen and her network. Her carefully cultivated image as the benevolent community leader shattered into irreparable pieces. The guests, now revealed as unwitting victims, demanded refunds and angrily confronted her. The Serenity Shores residents she had once manipulated and stolen from now turned on her, furious at being defrauded and having their community's reputation ruined. Her social circles, built on an illusion of wealth and influence, abandoned her completely, unwilling to be associated with such public disgrace. Her vast real estate holdings, her fortune, her status, her perceived power all confiscated as part of the ongoing investigation and subsequent lawsuits. She lost everything, her freedom, her fortune, and her reputation. The ultimate irony was that her audacious attempt to profit from my lake house led to the complete unraveling of her vast, illegal enterprise. As for my lake house, the retreat was immediately shut down. The damaged dock was repaired by a crew funded by Karen's seized assets, and conservation efforts for the mussels were intensified with new funding from the state. My peace returned to Lake Serenity, deeper and more profound this time, knowing that justice had prevailed and the lake's delicate ecosystem was protected. The satisfaction was immense, watching her literal and figurative empire crumble before her eyes, a quiet triumph of truth and integrity over greed and arrogant criminality. What's your take on this? When someone exploits private property and natural resources for massive illegal profit, does their complete and utter downfall truly serve justice? Or is there a point where the consequences become too extreme?